Hey guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to show you how I made this really cool phone holder, and it's perfect for the summer, and I think it looks pretty cute. So to make the granny square, I first of all made a slip knot, like so, and then I inserted my hook and I made a single crochet chain of 3, and this will act as 1 double crochet. I then did a double crochet stitch into the slip knot, and then I did another double crochet stitch. Then I did a single crochet chain of 2, and then I did a double crochet into the slip knot, like so. And another one, and another one. So I had 3 double crochets, and then I did a chain of 2 single crochets. So yeah, then I again did 3 double crochets into the slip knot. So every 3 double crochets, chain 2 single crochets, and I did this 4 times, so altogether I had 12 double crochets into the slip knot, and every 3 double crochets I had chained 2 single crochets. So once I had done 4 lots of the 3 double crochets, and then pulled the loose end of the middle just to close the hole, and then I chained single crochet of 2, and then I inserted my hook into the first stitch of the double crochets, and then I just did a slip stitch to close it off. However, I recommend doing a single crochet stitch to hold it together. Then I just cut the yarn and then I pulled it through the hole, and that just closed it off. I then got this mustard colored yarn and I made a slip knot and inserted my hook into the knot, and then I just found like a gap. So in between 3 double crochets there should be like a hole where you did the 2 single crochets, and then I just did a single crochet stitch into that gap, and then I did 3 of them, and then I inserted my hook again into the same gap and I did a double crochet stitch. And then I did another double crochet stitch into that gap, and then I chained 2 single crochets, so 1, 2, and then I did a further 3 more double crochets into that same gap. So once I had a total of 6 double crochets, I then did a single crochet chain, and then I did a double crochet into the next gap. So every 3 double crochets, and then I did 2 more double crochets into the same gap. Then I did 2 single crochets, and then I just did a further 3 double crochets into that same gap or hole, whatever you want to call it. And then I just did the same thing to each gap, each hole, so kind of each corner. So we should have 4. And I just again did 3 double crochets into the gap and then just chain 2 single crochets, and again did 3 more double crochets into the gap, and then just 1 single crochet. And I just did that for the whole way around, so I should have 4 lots of the 3 double crochets. And once I had done that, I just single crocheted and then inserted my hook into the first double crochet, and then I just did a single crochet, and then I just cut the yarn to finish it off. I then got some white yarn and I made a slip knot and inserted my hook like so. And then I just inserted my hook into like the gap, the same gap, like a corner of it. And I just did 3 single crochets. Then I did a double crochet again into the gap, and another double crochet into the same gap. And then again, I just did 2 single crochets. And then I did 3 more double crochets into the same gap. Then I did a single crochet, and then I did 3 double crochets into the next gap, but not the corner, so just like the gap in the middle. So yeah, I did 3 double crochets into that gap. Then I single crocheted 1, and then I inserted my hook into the next gap, so the corner one, and I did 3 double crochets. So once I'd done 3 double crochets into that corner gap, I then did a single crochet chain of 2, and then I did a further 3 double crochets into that same gap. I then did a single crochet, and then I did 3 double crochets into the next gap, but the middle one, so not the corner. And I only did 3 into that gap, and then I chained 1 single crochet. And I just repeated that process the whole way around. So for each corner I did 2 lots of double crochets, and with 2 single crochets in between each lot of 3 double crochets. And then for each middle gap I only did 3 double crochets, and then just a single crochet to bridge the gap to the corner stitch. And again, when I got to the end, I just did a single crochet and then inserted my hook into the first double crochet and did a single crochet to stitch it together, and then cut the yarn and pulled a knot. And I just did the exact same process with a green yarn. So I again just did a lot of 3 single crochets into the first corner, and then 2 more double crochets, and then 2 single crochets, and then 3 more double crochets into the first corner. And then for each gap that wasn't a corner, I only did 3 double crochets into the gap. And yeah, so only 3 for the non-corner gaps, and technically 6 with a 2 single crochet bridge in between every 3 double crochets for the corner gaps. And for this row you should have 8 gaps that aren't corners, so you should have 2 for every corner that you have. So again, when you get to the end of the row, just single crochet and insert your hook into the first double crochet and do a single crochet and cut the yarn and tie a knot to keep it in place. I then got another colored yarn and just repeated the whole process, but this time there was 3 gaps between every corner gap. So again, just only 3 double crochets in those 3 gaps, and then 2 lots of 3 double crochets with 2 single crochets in between each 3 lots of double crochets for the corners. Again, when I got to the end, I just did a single crochet, then inserted my hook into the first double crochet, did a single crochet stitch, and then tied a knot and cut the yarn like so. And I did that whole thing 3 more times, so I had 4 granny squares like so. Then I grabbed 2 of them, and then I got a 4mm crochet hook this time. And before I was using a 6mm crochet hook, and then I got a white yarn and I just tied a slip knot and inserted my crochet hook into the knot. I then just placed the 2 granny squares on top of each other so they're even, then inserted my hook into the 2 corners, and I just did a slip stitch, so I pulled through the yarn completely and pulled through the knot on the crochet hook, and then again I inserted my hook into the next stitch. So you should have like 4 loops on your crochet hook, and then I just pulled through those 4 loops and the loop on my crochet hook, and then again I just did this the whole way along. So I just inserted my hook into the next 2 stitches, then pulled all the way through the stitches and the loop on my crochet hook. So just the stitches that were right next to each other, I just was slip stitching them together, and it's just the 2 stitches that were kind of opposite each other, and yeah. And then when I got to the corner, so the end one, I just cut the yarn and pulled a knot through. Sorry, the yarn would not cut. I think I was using the wrong scissors. But yeah, then I just pulled it through to tie a knot, and that was the first kind of half side of it. I then just did the exact same thing with the other 2 granny squares, so I just slip stitched them together. So once I'd finished that, I got the white yarn again, and I got a 6mm hook that I was using before and made a slip knot and inserted my hook, and then I just did a row of single crochets into each stitch that like bordered the granny square. So I just did like a border of single crochets kind of. So once I'd done that, I just again did another row of single crochets to create like a bigger border. So yeah, I just did a single crochet into each white stitch, so like just the top stitch that bordered the granny square, and yeah. So once I'd finished that, I just cut the yarn and then pulled it through, and then I did that exact same border around the other two granny squares. Then I got my 4mm crochet hook and tied a slip knot into it, and then I inserted the hook into the top corner stitch of the white ones. Because I placed the two sides on top of each other, and then again I just did a slip stitch to crochet the two sides together, and I also made the front of the two sides face each other, so like the bag would kind of be the same way. But yeah, I just again inserted my hook into like two stitches that were facing each other, so you should have 4 loops on your hook, not including the just normal loop. Then pull through those 4 and just the last loop as well that was already remaining on your hook, not the one you inserted. And yeah, I just slip stitched the whole way around, and I left the top section . And once I'd done that, I just did a round of single crochets on every single top stitch, so just to create like another kind of border, I guess. But I kind of just did it to make it kind of tighter so my phone wouldn't fall out of the bag. And yeah, so I just did a single crochet into each stitch, all the way around, like a kind of circle type vibe. And once I'd done a round, I just cut the yarn and pulled it through, and then I pulled the bag in the right side because it was inside out, and then I just made a slip stitch again, and using the 4mm hook I just made a foundation chain of 6 single crochets. Then I did a single crochet stitch into each stitch of the foundation chain. Then I did 1 single crochet and then turned it around and again just did a single crochet into each stitch. And again just did a single crochet and then again just single crocheted into each stitch, and I just continued to just do lots of rows of single crochets. I'm not actually sure how many rows I did because I did so many, but I did 37 inches long. I think I just kind of measured how long I wanted the strap to be, and I felt like 37 inches was a kind of good length. So once I'd done 37 rows, I then just cut the yarn and pulled through, make a knot. So that was the straps done. Then I turned the bag section inside out, and then I just made a slip knot and then inserted my hook, and then I just again slip stitched the straps onto the back section, like so. Yeah, so I just basically made the ends face upwards and onto the sides. I just placed it on top and then again just inserted my hook into the 2 stitches that were facing each other, then pulled through the lip also on the hook, and I just did that for each stitch that was facing each other to do the slip stitch. And on the end one, I think I may have done a single crochet stitch to stitch them together, just to keep them kind of in place a bit better, but honestly I don't think it really matters. Yeah, so once I had finished that, and then just cut the yarn and pulled through the knot. So there's a bit of an end stuck in there. So yeah, I just cut the yarn and pulled it through. So then I just did the exact same thing with the other side of the strap, and just slip stitching it to the other side of the bag like so. Once I'd done that, I just pulled the bag through to make it to the right side so it wasn't inside out, and that was kind of the basics finished. So then I just weaved in the ends after that, And yeah, I made sure to make a really big knot for the inside of the granny squares, just so it wouldn't come apart. And that was pretty much the bag finished. I just made it so it was all straight, because there's still some ends and things, so I just made sure they were all on the inside. If you do have any ends, just make sure they're tucked into the inside. And that was it. Thank you so much for watching.